I was done.
Maybe it's time to go home.
Yeah.
Meaning
yeah.
to
You know, I've
heaven.
been in emotional pain, like everybody goes through times of deep emotional pain. If you've lived as long as I have, you've gone through it more than you want to. Joy said, Kathie, can I ask you something? He said, do you think Regis is in heaven?
Why did you then walk away again? You have another hit show.
Because I knew that my dreams were going to require that I'm not somewhere that I have to be every single day at a certain time.
I remember watching the coverage.
It was horrible.
It was brutal. Mm-hmm. And I thought...
Not as brutal as what he did to me.
Is there anything that you haven't done that you want to do?
I always laugh about it when somebody asks that. I said, well, porn, but there's no offers.
It is so self-evident to me and obvious to me that whatever you may think, you know, about going home, God is not done with Kathie Lee Gifford.
No.
Okay, if I had to describe the person that's hanging out with us today, one of the most fascinating, interesting, courageous, unbelievably outspoken in ways that are, to some controversial, to other reassuring and loving and affirmative, has made unbelievably rare career decisions when it comes to broadcasting and everything else that she's done. The list is a mile long. You really know her. Everyone knows her.
It's Kelly
great.
Ripa.
No.
Happy to be here.
You're starting in already. Kathie Lee Gifford, how are you? Thanks for hanging out with us.
Sean, thank you for inviting me. I love your
All right.
new set. It's very manly, man.
Well,
I like it.
it's like our man cave, right?
I know, it's so cute.
This is you, People Magazine.
A little help from my glam team, yes. But
You have a
I don't need
you have a
much
glam
help.
team? I need a glam team, don't you think?
Yours took 2 seconds.
Well,
My flight lost my luggage yesterday.
Oh,
so
really?
It arrived at 2:30 in the morning, and somebody had locked my suitcase. I have never locked my suitcase. I've been traveling for 60 years all over the world. Do you lock your suitcase when you check a bag?
No.
I don't know too many people that do.
After all you've done and all the success you've had, and by the way, now you have written a series of books on scriptures.
This is the second.
This is the latest.
Yes, the
that
first
just
one
came
is
out. They're on scripture.
Yes.
I'm going to talk about your faith because obviously it's been front and center in your whole career, and how important it is, and how people hated you for it. You know,
people. Either it was a love or loathe kind of a relationship with the public. The media couldn't stand me because they loved, you know, Howard Stern, and Howard Stern didn't even know me. I'd never met him, and he just I was easy prey for him. And so for 30 years I prayed for Howard Stern because, you know,
for 30 years you prayed. Well, I don't know. He's gotten so woke. I don't even recognize the guy anymore.
Well, you know what? Last time I was here in Palm Beach, I had dinner with Beth, his wife.
Yeah.
And I think she's
I heard she's lovely.
She's lovely. And we went to dinner. So you get to know somebody if you have a meal with them.
I agree with
people
that.
go, you don't remember me, do you? And I go, I'm sorry, help me. What I really want to say is, you weren't memorable. I didn't spend enough time with you. Is that my fault? And they'll say, I waited 2 hours in a book signing of yours. And I go, I'm sorry that you wasted 2 hours of your time.
They didn't waste 2 hours. I mean, and this is where, you know, you made the career decisions that nobody's made. I want to get to all this in a second. But first, you have really been struggling with your health.
Not my health.
Okay.
That's the first thing that people think.
If I don't say it right, how would you describe it? Because I would argue that what you've been going through are health issues. What do you say?
Well, this is what I say because it's the truth. And I've made a living telling the truth and getting in trouble for it a lot. But it's also what people have come to expect from me is that I try to speak the truth in a spirit of love. That's what the scripture says to do. And that's not always easy. I mean, it's hard, actually. Some people are just not lovable. And they're miserable, and they're not happy until they make you miserable. And, unfortunately, the world is full of very unhappy people. And all I wanted in my life, since I came to walk with Yeshua, Jesus, when I was about 13 years old, I want people to know how much God loves them. Just come exactly the way you are to him. He'll do the rest. He'll change your heart. He'll change the desires of your heart. He will, and he'll never, ever forsake you. Or give up on you like the world does. And he won't condemn you, and Jesus said, I didn't come to condemn the world, but to fulfill the law, to fulfill it, not to condemn anyone. He came to save. That's what his word in Hebrew means, his name means.
Have you watched the series The Chosen?
Oh, sure.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah, it's really, really good. I saw him at lunch about a couple of months ago. My agent was there trying to sign him. And I heard my agent say, Kathie, and I turned around. I said, oh my gosh, you're having lunch with Jesus. I said, I am a huge fan of yours. And he goes, I'm a huge fan of yours. I said, he's such a lovely guy.
Yeah, but that I think is probably like Jim Caviezel did The Passion of the Christ. I think that's a hard role to play. But I think the most telling thing, and things that I believe in my heart, and my faith grows as every day as I get older. Number one, we've all sinned and fallen short
of the glory of God. Right.
Everybody has messed up, and there's something great when you're at your lowest moments, rock bottom, because you're humble, and at those moments, then you
can only look up.
You tend to look up at, and I've been reading about your physical issues. Am I saying it appropriately now?
Well done, sir.
Okay, so you've had some real challenges, and then I read a quote that you were even thinking about,
I was done.
Maybe it's time to go home.
Yeah.
Meaning
yeah.
to
I've been in emotional pain like everybody. It goes through times of deep emotional pain. If you've lived as long as I have, you've gone through it more than you want to. Yeah. But I was used to it in many ways, but physical pain. I mean, I had my babies. That wasn't easy. I had two cesarean sections. No.
Although James Tallarico is actually advocating for the right of biological men to have abortion. If you can explain that to me, I'd appreciate it.
Too many people don't even know how to define a woman, much less how many genders we have. I mean, can we just stick to what we know? Everybody's got a theory. And that's what I love about America. He has the right to think what he wants to think, say what he wants to say, worship the way he wants to. You show me any place else in the world. And I don't believe in canceling people just because they disagree with me.
What about 6 genders? Do you know what the other 4 are? Because I don't.
You do?
No, I have no clue what he's talking about.
And I'm not going to waste my time trying to find out.
Well, that's smart.
I'm not going to.
All right, so let's get back to your physical issues. I mean, they were severe. Yeah. I mean, you have a friend that's with you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, she's here, my friend.
And you had fallen down the stairs.
Yes.
You had a lot of physical issues.
Yes.
And it led to a series of... How did you get to that point? What happened? What made you think that maybe you want to go home, meaning it's time to go home? I
just wanted to go home to Jesus. And I've been so blessed in my life. I had 5 grandchildren within 3 years. My son had 3, and my daughter had 2. Well, children. And thus making me a booby, which is the Yiddish for grandma. And as joyful as that was, I couldn't even hold them. I couldn't hold them. And this is the way I explain it. My doctor... I was misdiagnosed, and I thought I had the best doctors in the world, and they kept saying to me, "It's not your hip, it's your spine," and I go, "But it's my hip that hurts. My spine ain't great." But here's the way I explain it: you can lie about your age, but your body knows how old you are. It knows where you've been and what you did when you got there, And my body was literally, because I've lived 10 lives, I think, falling apart, just worn out. My doctor at my post-op said, Kathie, how were you existing? And I said, honestly, too much wine, too many stem cell patches and too much arthritis Tylenol. And I was crawling to the bathroom by the time I finally had my hip replaced.
Did you work out? Did you take?
Oh yeah, I do which I had. Oh yeah. Now I've been in physical therapy for a year and 2 months with everything, because all of a sudden it all started to happen. He said, "That's one of the worst hips I've ever seen. How are you existing?" And I told him, and he said, "Well, you didn't have a hip." because most people say, oh, it was bone on bone. I had no bone. I was just telling Ainsley, there was no bone. It's ashes to ashes, dust to dust, arthritic ash. And I'm not a world-class athlete by any means, but I've climbed many a mountain. I've been on a million stages, up and down steps on Broadway and everywhere else.
How were you walking if
I couldn't? And as a result, and how do you misdiagnose an X-ray? And this is a very prominent doctor. I'd never sued him. I called him, though, afterwards, and I said, I'm sure you heard. I said, I'm going to sue you if I hear from one other person that you missed something as obvious as an X-ray.
What do you say?
They're very careful when you call them because they know they don't want to leave evidence and say, gee, I'm so sorry I missed that, or I should have seen that. Nothing. It was like, I'm sorry you had to go through that. They probably practice an answer like that.
They've been trained.
Mm-hmm. And I was very, very disappointed in him. And I said, I'm not a litigious person, but if I hear that one other person is misdiagnosed like that, I will sue you. Because I don't want anybody else to ever have to suffer like that.
Okay.
So there was that. And then that was the first one. And if I have a message for anybody, it's get your eyes checked. Even if you're in the kind of pain I was in, I started to be falling a lot because I had terrible cataracts. I knew my sight was gone and stuff like that, but I was a 4 of a 4. And I didn't realize it because I said, I'm going to fix what hurts. What I can't, I want to walk again. I want to be able to go to Israel again and walk the mountains and go to everywhere Jesus went and where everything happened, like The Rock, the Road, and the Rabbi book that I wrote about 8 years ago. And I wanted my own life back again.
Yeah.
I remember Frank, when it got older and older, we'd still get all these wonderful invitations to go to things. And he would say, Kath, no. I said, but honey, they still want you. He goes, but people expect Frank Gifford to show up. And if I can't show up as Frank Gifford, they're going to be disappointed. And I don't want them to be disappointed. I started feeling that way. I can't show up and be Kathie Lee, what they know from television at least. I mean, people, if you only know me from my work with Regis and my work with Hoda, you know maybe 5% of me. I can be a dingbat and get paid very well for it. I can make fun of myself, and I do. But I'm a very, very serious person.
You're not a dingbat.
No. I've been called everything you can call me, but they still call me. When they called me to do the cover of People magazine, I went, "What? Why?" And it's actually a sweet story. Cody, my son, who's managing our family business now, every penny I spent to get him through Oxford University for his master's, so worth it. He's so freaking genius. Oh. He really is, and funny as all get out too. But anyway, he said, "Yeah, I got a call from the editor-in-chief of People, and it's a woman that interviewed me years ago for one of my first covers or something for People magazine. And she is now she's editor-in-chief of All Things People magazine. And she was just a journalist at the time. Nothing bad about being a journalist, but she was making her way in life, hard work. She was one of the few journalists that I just thought, this woman has such integrity. Such integrity. She was one, if I get anything wrong, Kathie, let me know, because I want to quote you properly. I wanted this. I'll check. Here's my number. If you feel bad about something you said that you think maybe needs to be corrected in some way, nobody does that anymore. Hardly anybody. And so I liked her so much. At the end of the interview, I said, "Tell me about you." And she said, "Well, I'm married, and we're having fertility problems and going through," I think she was going through everything you got to go through to when you're having problems like that. I hear it's a really rough road.
IVF.
Uh-huh. I don't want to misquote her either. So I just know that you could tell she was hurting. Mm-hmm. So I said, "Well, would you like me to pray for you?" And I said, because you wouldn't believe how many little kids are running around this world because I've prayed for them. Not that I'm going to get you pregnant. That's up to your husband. But God is the creator of all life. And he made us to bear children. And if it's his will for you, let's pray about it. And so we did. And literally right after that, she got pregnant with her son. And after that, she had twin daughters. And so she's always had a soft spot for me, you know? And so they had an editorial meeting at People because, you know, they usually want to be what's happening right now, what's happening, you know, everything. And they said, she's so smart. She goes, what are we missing? Who do our readers want to know about? Who are they missing? Who are they interested in still? And it goes back to what you originally said. It's either love or loathe me, but it's on an honest basis because you're going to get what you see is what you get. Older version, but the same person. That's because I don't separate my secular life and my spiritual life. I am one daughter of the King.
Kathie Lee.
One me, and everybody is uniquely made in the image of God. I believe that with all my heart. And when we mess with that, and we try to be a different person when we're working, and then we show up a different place, no. In Acts it says, in him we live and move and have our being. That means every nanosection of our life is supposed to be a prayer.
Let me go back to one thing. First of all, it's the statement that you made that if you know Kathie Lee from your work with Regis and your work with Hoda, you only know 5% of you. That actually shocks me.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to this health issue, and you made me think.
You mean physical?
Well, sorry. Oh my goodness!
Gosh,
you know, I love getting the crap kicked out of me on my own podcast.
Hey, you're a martial arts guy, but you can't. Do you have your own HR?
Probably I need one. I actually injured myself not recently, blew up like a balloon on steroids, and then got the crap kicked out of me in the media, which was fine. I sort of deserved it. All right,
No.
But let me go back to the physical issues.
Yes.
And then I want to juxtapose it to something. You are talking about how proud you are of your son going to Oxford and the man he's become, and he runs the family business, and you have grandchildren. Mm-hmm. You've had these physical challenges.
Yes. And
you have been through, it sounds like you've been through hell and back.
I have.
And then there's another part of you that's saying to me that that you are ready to go home.
Yeah.
Yes. All those people and all these people that want to see you on this magazine cover, including me, because I'm so interested in your life. I mean, your life's fascinating. You know, we'd all miss you. I think that all those people you mentioned need you. Why do you think you want to go home? I've always had it says in the article, I have had to develop tough skin, but I know that the Lord wants me to always keep a tender heart. And that's quite the challenge for any of us. This industry is brutal. It is brutal, and none more brutal for me than my Broadway experience. It's just I thought I'd been through it all, but I now have so much more compassion for people that are chronically in pain and just can't seem to get any answers, and with all my blessings, and God knows I've had more fame and fortune to choke a person. I really have, but I never sought it out. I never wanted to be famous. A lot of the men that, never mind, that's another story, but it's hard to be the man in a relationship with somebody like me because people. A famous person.
Well, a lot of people are famous, but not a lot of people have been in somebody's home and in their bedrooms and in their closets and wherever people keep TVs for all those years. Every single day somebody says, you know, I was a little girl and I couldn't wait to come home and watch a rerun of or DVD it or whatever, Regis and Kathie Lee, and said, I grew up with you. Now, a woman who looked 95 years old to me the other day said, I grew up with you. And I said, hold on.
Favorite line I get is, I go to bed with you every night. I'm like, oh, okay.
No wonder you're exhausted.
Well, you know, people I've never met before, Kathie Lee.
Well, that's your story.
Well, that's true. So go beyond just the hip.
Okay.
It was more.
There was more.
A lot more. And how long did it go on for?
A year and 2 months, and I'm still in physical therapy. One morning, at my age now, you have forget your prostate.
You keep talking about your age. You look great. What are you talking about?
Well, I'm going to be 73 next month.
Oh, gee, you're so old.
Well, compared to my children, I'm old. I'm older than I was yesterday. I don't know about you, but it happens. It happens that way. One day at a time, sweet Jesus.
Gary Brecker sat in that chair and said, if you live 5 more years, the odds of you living to 100 go up exponentially because of the advancement with AI and medicine.
I know.
For
I believe that.
They'll catch cancer at stage 0.
I'm just glad you don't have to do a colonoscopy anymore. They have that new thing called Shield.
Yeah.
I just did that. I'll never forget.
I've had 5 in my life. I'm pretty well aware of colonoscopies.
You know what? Yeah. Well, they were much easier than they used to be, but my father would not go. He was a different kind of generation, and Regis wouldn't go years ago. And I said to them, if I go through it, and I don't have to because I wasn't even 40 yet. If I do it and I come out just fine, and will you guys both do it?
You're going through all this pain.
Oh, yeah.
And 73 is nothing.
It's my body is older than 73 because of the 10 lives that I've lived, truly. I had a paper route with my father and my sister and my brother at 5 in the morning when I was 8 years old.
I had a paper route at 8.
Yeah, it was in the middle, in wintertime, it's pitch dark outside, right?
Sure.
So I was taught an incredible work ethic. My dad always had 3 jobs, and my mom sold eggs door to door. My dad was, and both of my grandfathers, my mother's father and my father's father were immigrants. One of them, my father's father, escaped the pogroms in communist Russia.
Wow.
And the other one was Canadian. I don't know what he was escaping, but he came to America too. So I don't know. I grew up in a family that honored God the Creator. But you know what? I'm super grateful I did not grow up in a religious home. I didn't.
But you went to Oral Roberts University.
Yeah, but that was one of the worst years of my life. It's a much different school now than it was. Yeah. I left it with just, I think, 1 semester shy of graduating. I said, I'm not learning a daggone thing here that I need. Because I'm one of those people that knew exactly what I wanted to do when I was a little girl. Knew exactly. I came out of my mother's womb with a pratfall and a bump, Mm-hmm. I did. I wanted to put on shows, and I wanted to write, and I wanted to direct, and I actually wrote Walt Disney a letter when I first learned how to write. So I must have been about 8, and I said, "Dear Mr. Disney, I know you love Annette Funicello and Haley Mills, but you really need to meet me. I'm known for my expressions." And a while later, I get obviously as a form letter, but I didn't know what a form letter was at the time. It looked like his signature, and I wish I had it now, because he said, "You sound like a delightful young lady, and maybe someday we will make movies together. I wish you well." It was somebody wrote a lovely letter to me.
So you knew at a young age you had this itch or this desire to be an on-air...
A performer.
A performer.
Uh-huh. My daddy was the wisest man I've ever known in my life, except for Billy, and I'll tell you a Billy Graham story too. But my dad used to say to me, "Honey, find something you love to do, and then figure out a way to get paid for it."
Okay, that's what I tell young people all the time, those exact words.
Yeah. And I said, "Well, I'm glad you told me that before I had sex, or I would have been heck of a hooker."
Okay, thanks for sharing. Appreciate it. By the way, this is what makes you you. Yeah. And because you'll kind of say anything and you don't care.
Yeah, it's true.
Can I just encourage you in this one sense? You will go home. We're all going home.
We're all going home.
Okay.
And I know who's going to be there to greet me.
But I'm going to tell you, your physical challenges, I know you're doing PT, but then you can do strength building.
I do. I do Mandu, which is electro. I do.
Correct.
I've been doing that for 7 years, and I now have in this hip, the left one, that my doctor said is a matter of when, not if.
Right.
I started getting stem cell injections, and I wish they were
helping.
In 1 year. In 1 year, up 15%.
Wow.
In 1 year. That's unheard of.
Okay,
That's
this is just we were just in the beginning stages of a new era in medicine. We're going to look back one day, I think, and look at how we treated cancer as barbaric and almost like in the
and animal testing and so many things like
crazy.
that. Yeah,
because you have killed people.
And what about COVID? How there?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Insane. But so the only thing I would tell you is. You know, I started 15 years ago in my martial arts journey, which includes really it's a workout and it's push-ups, sit-ups, core, boxing, it's lifting, it's, you know, obviously martial arts, situational self-defense, all that. That's what I do, but really more than anything else has made me stronger than I've ever been.
First day at physical therapy, I made a friend, a very, very sweet guy. He's got a black belt and all that stuff.
Sure.
I've never seen anybody in my life with more cuts and more. He's 11 times the elbows, both hips, both knees, both everything. And I said, he said, I can't wait to get back in the gym. He says, it's my drug. But he says like 8% fat on his body.
Okay, I'm not that good.
Yeah.
But,
you know what I mean? I mean, he's I don't know. I'm glad I'm not a maniac about it. I've been a maniac about manners with my kids, and they're.
You quote the King's English? Just curious.
Huh?
The King's English.
Yeah, Jesus did not speak the King's English, by the way.
By the way, I doubt the apostles, the fishermen, did either. I assume they were like fishermen today.
And you know what?
And I know a lot of fishermen, and they use a lot of words that I'm sure the disciples probably used too.
Well, they were not just fishermen. They came. The one was a
stone guy, or
well, you know what?
Actually, an architect.
What Jesus did and Joseph did before Jesus became a rabbi at the age of 30, because that was Mosaic. You had to be in the Torah. I mean, you had to be 30 before you could be a rabbi. If you look it up, first of all, there was no. You got to understand, there was no. How can I? These stories are very well chronicled in my Rock Road Rabbi, but I want to get it down to this. Jesus was not a carpenter. That is a very bad translation of what they actually did in the Greek, and it's called tekton, Tekton. And if you just say, Siri, what does that word mean in the Greek? She'll say, it says architect/builder. Well, the geniuses that translated the Greek into the King's. You brought up the King's language, had never been to Israel. They had no idea that there was no buildable wood in 1st century AD. The trees that are there now were all basically built after Israel became a nation in 1948. And a lot of people will plant a tree in honor of somebody that they've lost or something like that. And so now it's just in bloom. It's beautiful. It's beautiful now. Well, some places are not. Gaza's not in bloom yet, but who knows if that'll ever happen. But anyway, these guys thought that they saw builder and they said, oh, he was like a carpenter like us. Well, England's full of gorgeous, gorgeous trees and rocks. When you see everything that Herod built and now it's in rubble, it's because nothing wood lasted. Jesus probably worked with what they called glorified bushes back then. And everything like a balsam and an olive and a sycamore fig, all of them were just glorified bushes. You couldn't build anything of substance with them. So Jesus was a stone mason. And now the scriptures come to life for you. If you understand that, upon this rock, I will build my church. And that wasn't Peter. Peter was going to betray Jesus 3 times, and Jesus knew that was going to happen. Okay. He built his church on the rock of the truth that he was the Messiah.
Okay. You are the only other person I've met in my life that has the same interpretation of me. Because now I did study theology, Latin.
Yeah.
Okay. I went to Catholic schools 12 years. However, and you learn that the Catholic interpretation of Peter from the Latin is Petros, which is rock, and upon Peter the rock, and they turned it into the Pope. And I'm like, you're missing the mystery of what Jesus is saying here,
That's exactly
which
right.
is simply this. Peter, who do you say that I am?
That's right.
You are the Son of the living God. Blessed, which means in Latin, carefree, art thou, Peter, because flesh and blood didn't reveal this to you, but my Father revealed it unto your heart.
That's exactly.
It is upon that foundation. What is the foundation? I'll build my church. Foundation is you will know and understand because my Father will reveal things to you in real time. And to me, that is, the real living God within each of us. And I believe God created every man, woman, and child on this earth.
And in his image.
In his image.
And it said it is good.
And we're all failures. We're all nothing without him.
Yeah. I people get, you're so bold. You've always been so bold about your faith. And I said, look what he did for me.
Yeah.
And for you too, and for all of humankind. I've been working with a friend on a documentary about the Shroud of Turin. And for years, the so-called experts all around the world have been trying to prove that it's a myth, medieval myth and all that stuff. Well, 80 of them came together a year ago in St. Louis, and I have written music along with some friends for this documentary, and they started playing. I shot the video of it, and at the end there's a surprise. I'm not going to give it away, but we wrote a song called Sindone, which in Italian means shroud. Well, every single one of these 80 atheists, all their lives, decades and decades and decades, are now complete and total believers that they were wrong. Science has now caught up with faith. And it's irrefutable now that this is not the burial cloth of Jesus. It's the resurrection cloth, one and the same. But it could have never happened just because you were put in a tomb. The amount of energy, and we go into all the psychological stuff, all the physical proof for it. And my friend Randy Altig went all over Europe. I couldn't go because of my hip. Back then, I was just in agony. If you can't get to the bathroom without crawling, you can't go to the Vatican. You can't go to Israel. You can't go, you barely have dinner with your next door neighbor. That's the kind of pain I was in.
I hate to tell you, but, upon this rock, things, I kind of have a message for you. I don't think God's done with you. And
well, obviously not, or I'd be home right now dancing.
Okay, so you can wish to go home, but your family needs you.
Right.
And you know what? He wants you to keep doing his work and spreading his word.
Yeah.
And, to the people that appreciate it.
Yeah. You lose the reality of that because, first of all, when you can't even hold your grandchildren,
Can you now?
Oh gosh, yes.
Oh.
I got an almost brand new hip too. This one he made perfect. I have to go through the thing and I got titanium. And now I've got it in. I woke up 4:00 in the morning. Had to go to the bathroom as usual, and because of my depth perception,
every day at 4:00, is that like a routine?
2:00, 4:00, 6:00. It's just
all right. We're getting older.
Yeah, depth. When you have cataracts, that's why I was saying don't wait until you're out of pain to get them done. I was fixing everything that was hurting me for the longest time, thinking my eyes don't hurt. I can get them fixed. But then you start falling because I could not tell the difference between. It happened to me today on the way in. I'm still now scared to death to fall because I fell. My friend Candace found me one day on my stairs. I fractured my pelvis in the front and back, completely fractured them. And I had to go back to the hospital right after I'd gotten out of because I couldn't tell the difference between my rug and my marble floor in my bathroom, and that's a different story. I've fallen like 4 times because I just didn't get my eyes checked early enough.
Wow.
Do it the minute you just sense something, and I don't mean like reading. I mean when you can't tell if you're afraid to get on an escalator because I used to be fearless, and now I am so. The one thing I am terrified of is falling again. I woke up at 4:00, turned over to get out of bed, and felt an excruciating pain in my shoulder, and I said, "Oh my God, I'm having a stroke." And I was thinking, I have to get to the bathroom. I don't want to soil these sheets. These are beautiful. I love my sheets, Well, I got to the edge of the bed and just sort of crumbled on the floor. Right. And that was a different time. But the Lord, graciously, he healed this hip through a wonderful doctor who finally discovered what was wrong. And I jumped off the gurney. I was off oxy the next day. I wasn't going to, no, I was off the walker. Heck no, I'm not going to get on a walker. And even a cane, just said, I'm out of here. And then I had to go back into the hospital for another 8 days. Went to my little farm in Tennessee and was trying to get some PT in my little salt pool. And I had a nurse. You have to have a nurse for a while, and she said, "Kathie, you can't put that kind of weight on your." And I said, "Why not?" She goes, "Because I said, "Well, shouldn't I be in excruciating pain like I used to be?" And she goes, "Yeah, your pelvis was. I saw the X-rays."
Shot.
I called up my doctor, and I said, Dr. Dirkman, if anybody wants him, he's in Franklin, Tennessee. I said, "Shouldn't I be in excruciating pain?" He says, "Yes, you should." And I said, "I'm coming in for an X-ray." He says, "Come in tomorrow." And this is a man of God. I love that about Tennessee. Almost every one of my doctors I've had a load of them this last year and a half. Every one of them prays with me before and after, and I hear from them. And faith is a way of life for many, many people in the South.
All right, I want to be honest. Hearing loss is something a lot of people just don't like to talk about. It can be frustrating, embarrassing. Maybe you're turning up the TV too loud and people are, saying, "Why is it so loud?" Or asking people to repeat themselves, or you're sitting in a restaurant nodding along in a conversation. You're not hearing what's being said. I've been in radio since 1987. I know a thing or two about hearing loss. Everybody in radio, they lose their hearing to some extent. Now, a lot of people felt like hearing aids would make them look old. Audien, they've changed all. Look at this. Look at this. They've changed all of that, making hearing aids modern, discreet, and you know what? Kind of cool again. If you have them, nobody will even know you have them. You have a sleek design, actually multiple designs. They look more like headphones than old style hearing aids, and they're making them very affordable. That's good for everybody. Audien was founded by 3 grandsons who wanted to help their grandparents hear better. So instead of costing thousands and thousands, Audien hearing aids, they start at $98. It comes in this beautiful box, this beautiful case, and it's incredible. And by the way, $98, no prescription, no huge markup. You order all of it online. It ships right to your home, and you can start hearing better tomorrow when it arrives. Audien helps you be connected again, hearing your family clearly, not having to say, what? Who wants to hear that every day? Anyway, 1.5 million Americans now use Audien, and they keep telling their friends that have hearing loss, you're going to want to try it. Anyway, get your hearing back at audienhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com today. You're unlike anybody else in television, which is like you had a successful TV show, and I want to ask you about Regis, 15 years. Mm-hmm. You walked away.
At the height of the success.
At the height of it, and you did walk away.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay, on your own, you just decided.
I owned half, Regis and I owned half of that show.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Disney owned half. We were, I didn't own the Today Show at all, but we had a hit show at 10 o'clock in the morning. And that had never, ever happened in daytime. When I first had lunch with Hoda, and I said, I don't want to come back to daytime television. I really feel like I've done the best work I can ever do. That's, by the way,
I brought out the wine, because then you came back and have this hit show with Hoda for 11 years.
Right.
That never happened. No, first of all, nobody walks away from a hit show.
I know.
You did, and then you have another hit show, and you walked away again.
At the height.
All right, by the way, here, this is...
Thank you. I'm shaking a little bit because I'm afraid of falling. I'm still thinking about falling.
Okay,
help me off.
You're sitting. You're not going to fall.
Yeah.
I'll catch you.
Well, I'm in heels. I went to Dolce & Gabbana when they lost my bag last night.
I don't usually drink white wine, but it's not bad.
Thank God they had a Dolce right in the hotel.
Oh, do they really? Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so this is a write-off. These shoes are a write-off, IRS.
So let me go back to
Let me tell you one thing about what you just said, please.
Go ahead.
People say to me all the time, how could you leave your dream job? And I said, you're just assuming It was my dream job both times. There were no talk shows when I started my career. There were certainly no women talk shows. The first TV show I ever saw, because I lived in Europe until I was 6, was the Flintstones in black and white, right? And this was years and years and years ago. And let's see, I'm losing my train of thought again. Oh, I said, I wrote a letter to Walt Disney, like I told you about. That was my dream job. Now I have my dream job because I don't have to commute anymore. Greenwich, Connecticut, I can see the skyline of Manhattan from my backyard. But on a bad day, it could be 2.5 hours back and forth, And I got tired of that. I got tired of seeing my children on the cover of rags, tabloids. And Frank and I sued them at one point and won, and could have gotten a ton of money. But instead we made them promise that they could not use any pictures of my children or even mention them till they were 18 years old.
Yeah. And
by that time I had raised them. You'll never find them falling out of a limousine without their underwear on, that kind of thing. In fact, you were talking about Cody going to Oxford. Cass and Cody both went to USC. For film, Cody went to film school. Cass ended up leaving and doing 9 movies, and really excellent actress. And now she's going to wait until she's, her kids are little. I didn't do Broadway the first time it was offered me, and that was who was it? Julie Andrews and Henry Mancini asked me to take over for one night for Julie, so she could have 2 nights off, 2 days off. And because she was getting up there too, and know how brutal, that it can be. And I said, I can't believe I'm going to say no to Mary Poppins, but my daughter's 1 year old, and she'll never be one again. And Broadway will always be there, and someday I'll be able to do it. By the time Cassidy was 8, she was like, bye. She was that way when she was 2, But Cody went on to get his master's, as I said, at Oxford. But I'll never forget, Cass was 14 when he got his first report card. When you used to get them, and I'm looking at it. And it's straight A's. He got in the film school the month he first got there to that school. And anyway, it was straight A's. And she goes, Mom, aren't you going to say something? Because you said the word proud before of Cody. And I remember this so well. Aren't you going to say something, Mom? Aren't you proud of him? And I said, honey, of course I am. But we know that pride comes before the fall. And he could go off to Vegas this weekend and knock up some waitress, And Cassidy goes, oh, you're right.
Straight A's. I'm going straight for the hookers now. Okay, great.
No, a hardworking girl who can now keep her tips, a waitress. Anyway, I like to make people laugh. And she goes, ooh, you're right. She goes, Mom, we need a God word for proud. And so I said, okay, we're going to use groud in our house now. Grateful to God for all the wonderful things that are happening to you and in your life, but totally aware that you're just one bad decision away from a disaster. And so am I. So am I. So now we say groud. And I'm teaching my little grandchildren now that I'm very proud of you.
Let me ask you this. Why you're so successful with Regis? I didn't know you owned half the show.
Well, the 2 of us did. And when we signed, I gave him 1%. He got 26% and I got 24%. Because I joined him on the morning show. That was already...
Those deals are way gone in television. They don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Which is great for you. There's a story that President Trump tells me about Regis. Uh-huh. That, later in his career when they wanted to cut his salary, he was so pissed off. He was
hurt.
He was hurt.
He was very hurt because he was ABC. We changed the whole landscape of daytime television.
He said, "So what? You have enough money. Just do what you love to do." Uh-huh. And he said the day he left, it's declined.
It was hard for him, and then COVID hit. And he couldn't go out and Don Rickles died. Both of those men just lived to hear for an audience. You know,
you really liked Regis. You
oh
loved him.
no, I
You loved him.
adored him. I still do. I talk to him all the time. I led him to the Lord before he passed, and in fact, his wife Joy, after he had died, it was on. I got off the plane and somebody had left a message for me, said, "I'm so sorry about your friend." So I immediately went to my house, put my bag in, and then got in my car and went to see his wife and 2 daughters. And as I was leaving, Joy said, "Kathie, can I ask you something?" He said, "Do you think Regis is in heaven?" Because I was alluding to this fact before. Now, I have many, many dear Catholic friends. Some of them have religion, and some of them really walk with the Lord Jesus on a daily basis.
I agree.
That's why I am not a fan of religion. It puts us in chains so often. That's what starts wars, starts all. That's why I study what the scriptures actually say, and that's the only way to truly know the Word of God and have it become part of your DNA is when you seek Him, you will find Him, it says in Jeremiah. So he was seeking Him, but he had religion. And I said, Regis, it's not about religion. I'm not saying don't go to church, honey. I'm not putting anybody down for being Baptist or Catholic or anything they want to be. I have Sikh friends. I have Hindu friends. One of my favorite trips ever to Israel is when I let the Lord decide who was going to go. And I had every walk of life, from atheists all the way to Jewish Scientologists, little family. And they all got changed by being in the rock, the road, the rabbi. The rock is Jesus. The road is the Holy Land. And the rabbi is rabbinical teaching, not the rabbi that I actually wrote the book with. He's good, but the rabbis take you 10 degrees lower than Sunday school than you'll ever go.
It is amazing. I've been to Israel many times also. And, to see the convergence of the world's religions in one place like that is pretty amazing.
That's right.
And having the 5 different sectors, all in that one area, Christianity,
Islam,
Jewish Islam, then
Judaism.
I think Armenian section is the 5th one. But the one thing I want to pick up on, so it's unheard of in this business that we're in, and you mentioned earlier, this is a tough business.
It's not for the faint of heart.
You got to be willing to get the crap kicked out of you.
That's what I meant about the tough skin. You've got to develop that. But God wants us to have a tender heart no matter what business we go into.
Yeah, it's tender up to a point in my case. I'm more, at times I fight and at times I just...
You have to pick your fights, right?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. The people that want to fight with me, I usually don't give them the satisfaction. Right. I pick the fights. The people that I like to pick.
Well, you're Irish.
I'm Irish. So, if I pick a fight, I'm going to win. And I'm going to be unrelenting. But, at this point in my career, the reason I love this podcast is I have people like you and I get to talk about all these things. You said something that really struck me. You said, if you know Kathie Lee from Regis and Hoda, 5% of you. Wow. Mm-hmm. Because you are always an open book. If anything, people...
Too much. TMI, right?
No, well, I don't think so. I
have my secrets, and they'll go to my grave with me.
Really? I want to hear those.
Well... Hang out hang out with me. I
want some more wine?
No. It's just comforting me, just sitting there.
That's like truth serum.
Oh, that's a funny story. One night I'll tell you the whole story. That people think that Hoda and I just started drinking wine out of the blue one day. No. When we first started our show...
I thought it was cool. When I first saw it, I thought it was awesome.
We were shocked because the way it happened is... Chelsea Handler came on our show one day, and she had that "Hello Vodka, It's Me, Chelsea," her first book.
Right.
And so our prop guy made a whole bunch of vodka cocktails and came out with them on a tray so she could have one. And she had one, and I don't think we joined her at that point. But the next week, Brooke Shields comes on, and she goes, "Where's my cocktail? Where's my Jerry, prop guy? Where's my cocktail? He brings, what do you want? Can I have a margarita? Or something like that. He comes out with a margarita. Now, the week after that, Joel McHale comes out. He's bringing his own body of Hennessy, whiskey, whatever that is.
So it became a thing.
And it just became a thing. And the suits at NBC used to have their meetings at 10 o'clock because they said, nobody's watching that show with Kathie Lee and Hoda. So next thing they know, they're going,
look at the ratings.
They started to go through the roof when this came out. And they're going, are they drinking wine? Our producers I had my own wine line then. That they gave a red to Hoda and a white for me. Nobody said a word because they didn't even know we were doing it. And by that time, the ratings were through the roof.
It didn't matter. I have a bar.
That's how I have a million stories like that.
You know what's cool though, like about this is I have a bar. I have cigars for people I like to smoke an occasional cigar. And, some people want to drink, some people don't. I don't care what they do.
Right.
Like, I don't drink white wine. So I'm doing this in honor of your former partner.
I love her so much.
Why did you then walk away again? You have another hit show.
Because I knew that my dreams were going to require that I'm not somewhere that I have to be every single day at a certain time. I've had enough of that.
But wasn't it easy to do? It was like you just...
Yeah, but once you get there, it's like anything else.
It was a pain in the ass. Why didn't you get an apartment close by?
I'd had one, and then I didn't like city life. Once Frank and I were married, we lived in the city for a year. Then we moved out to Greenwich, and he got me a puppy, thinking I'd be happy with a puppy and not a child.
Oh my gosh!
I never thought I would have children because when Frank and I married, he was already a grandfather, and he's 23 years older than I was at the time, and same exact birthday.
Yeah.
And we knew that he would probably, the chances are that he would be, going off to the Lord sooner than I would, and that's it. And he died actually on Hoda's birthday, and I texted Hoda while she was on the plane coming back from New Orleans, her beloved New Orleans, and I said, I just wanted you to hear it and not have to get off the plane and hear it from anyone. So Frank's with Jesus. And I said, please don't come. I'm fine. I'm fine. I found him. This was the look on his face. He'd had a massive heart attack. And the EMT said, Mrs. Gifford, I just want you to know he never suffered. He never saw the floor. He was gone. And I said, you know what? He saw Jesus and Jesus took his breath away. So I ended up writing my first #1 song on iTunes was He Saw Jesus with Brett James, the one who wrote Jesus Take the Wheel. He was killed in a tragic plane crash this September. We did all the music, the whole soundtrack of a movie that I wrote for me and for Craig Ferguson to do called Then Came You. And I can't even watch the movie now because he came to Scotland where we shot it, and he's in the movie. And it's some losses are, you see them coming, and others are just out of the blue. Frank was dying for 10 years before he died because of CTE, and I'll never forget. The EMTs were there, and our precious doctor came over. He's one of the few that makes house calls, and he loves our family. And he was Regis's doctor. I got him with him, and Frank's doctor, and Frank's older son. He takes care of all of us. And he's there, and Cody and I are sitting at the kitchen table, and he goes, "Mom, we have to talk about what are we going to do with Dad." We knew he wanted to be cremated. He said, "I don't want to be in a box." And I said, "Frank, you're going to be in a box anyway, whether it's a littler box." And he said,
"It's a box one way or another."
I don't want to take up room either. I want to be cremated. My parents didn't want to. That's a different generation, I think, as well. But anyway, Cody said, "Mom, what should we do?" I said, "Well, we should do what Jesus would want us to do and what Dad would want us to do." "What do you think that is, Cody?" And he said, he would want us to give his brain to science. And there was already a huge CTE, chronic encephalitis, chronic traumatic encephalitis. I used to be able to say it.
Everyone now, that's a real issue.
It really is. And my son's at the forefront of, there's going to be a drug out soon. That's the only one that in trials has shown
How many years
great
did he
success.
play professional football?
12 years. 12 years with the Giants,
I mean,
4 at USC.
Your body gets beaten.
But you know what? Cody actually co-produced with someone, something called Requiem for a tight end, I think it is. Requiem for a tight end. And it was a woman whose father had died of CTE. And Cody wanted to help her get it made. And so he joined the team, and they did get it made. It was a lot of awards. And he said, I want to do it for the mothers out there. Because the men are all rah-rah, go to football. But mothers tend to be a little bit more, I don't want him to hit his head. I don't want, And there are so many great fathers out there. I'm not putting, believe me, I'm not putting anybody down. But there's so much ignorance about it too, because lots of teenagers are committing suicide now. They were in the Little League, the Pop Warner and all that. Right. Or it happens to soccer players. It happens you fall off a bike. That's why when this drug becomes available, this is all over the world, brain damage. And this is the first drug that has shown promise, and it's in its final trials.
Well, I want to ask you then in this context, because earlier in this interview, you said something pretty deep and profound, that anybody's life can change in a second.
1 second.
Now, I did read, and so I believe half of what I read.
Yeah.
That you said after the issue with Frank and the woman and
the infidelity
came up, you have your words that you have to use, which crack me up. It's just
people called it an affair.
Okay, no,
whatever. An affair is not a tryst in a hotel at one time.
So
at all.
Understood. And man, I remember watching the coverage.
It was horrible.
It was brutal. Mm-hmm. And I thought,
not as brutal as what he did to me, crushing me.
Well, that's the point.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about that.
He was my hero. And it took a long, long time for me to gain trust again. But you know what I did? The Bible says, be anxious for nothing, right? Now, did I threaten divorce? No. The one thing that they did get wrong in some of the People coverage is that they said I left my home for a week and then came home and reconciled with Frank. That's not true. I never left my home.
Well, the quote I saw that stood out was that your relationship was never quite the same again.
No. Not when you've been that deeply hurt. And nothing. I thought we had a great marriage. Great marriage, great love life. I don't like to call it a sex life. Sex is different than making love. Mm-hmm. And we had a great love life.
Keep expanding, Kathie Lee. Everyone wants. No, I'm kidding. But this is
pretty darn good.
But I hate to tell you, this is so common.
Oh, I know it.
So many
and
friends, so many people.
Yeah.
I know guys more often now than I've ever heard.
Yeah. Wives,
girlfriends, affairs, cheating, all of it, whatever word, infidelity you want to use.
Well, and it's all brutal. And we didn't watch, obviously we didn't watch the TV during that time. And little kids, our kids wanted, after school, they'd go by this little place that sold all the magazines. And no, they didn't understand. They were 8 and 4 at the time. Why can't we go into Ada's anymore, Mom? And I just protect them. And because little people do not deserve big people problems. And we had a problem now. And I had to decide what to go back to work, and I did. I went right back to work a week after he died, but not and a week after it came out that it was true, because he told me it wasn't true, and I'd seen enough women come on to my husband. Believe me, in the 11 years we'd been married before this happened, I didn't know what to believe. I believed in my husband, and he should have never let me say publicly that's another betrayal. I would have said yeah, and I forgave him the minute I knew it was true. I did, because that's what Jesus says to do.
You remember that minute?
I do. He was always on time. I'm a maniac about being on time, and so is he. And one day he if he was going to be late, he'd always call. And I remember going out on my deck. and wondering, and that's when it hit me. I said, oh my gosh, it's true. He's dealing with the aftermath of that they had, not a video of it, but a recording.
You could read it.
I just knew it in my heart. And so he came home and admitted it when I said, I know it's true. The Lord showed me in my own heart that it's true. And I remember leaning up against we were in our kitchen, and I just slid down and looked at him and said, you can't be my friend anymore. Weird thing to say. You can't be my friend anymore. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of people thought that I made Frank go on, because a friend, he was so much more than, he was my best friend for 4 years before we ever were a couple. Mm. He was my best friend at ABC when I was at Good Morning America.
Sure.
He was an amazing friend to me. He championed me. He set me up with 2 billionaires. And he goes, Kathie, you may be the only woman in New York who's not here because they want to meet a billionaire. I said, no, I don't do, no. I make my own money. And I said, look, it was a guy that owned Lowe's, Jonathan Tisch, and it was the guy, the Mara family that owned the Giants. You don't get bigger than that in New York, right? And I said, I don't do that. I said, listen, and they wouldn't leave him alone, because I think they knew too I was the only woman in New York who didn't want to marry a billionaire. I wouldn't mind now.
Well, maybe we'll find one for you. There's a lot down here in Florida, I can tell you.
Yeah, but they're octogenarians. So
Wall Street has now moved south.
Oh, I know that. I know that.
That's all real.
Yeah. So anyway, I said, you know what? I'll go to lunch with them, but only if you come too. He was in the middle of almost getting divorced from his second wife, and it was almost final. And I said, just come with me, because I'm comfortable with you. And I don't go online, anything like that. And this was long before there was an online, and people go, why don't you? I said, I can go online. No, I can't. I'm too famous. There's such a thing. And it doesn't seem to, it hasn't stopped.
I tell people all the time, if you want to feel miserable and you're in the public eye, just start reading comments about you.
Yeah.
Because people are brutal.
Yeah. And they have the right to their opinion. My father lost half of his family in World War II, and the other half he lost in the Holocaust. And that's brutal. That's brutal.
So this is what I want to ask you. So this is devastating to you.
Yeah.
Okay, it changes the trajectory of your life.
Yes.
That moment.
Yeah. I didn't want to divorce him, but I wanted to kill him. And
Why didn't you want to divorce him? Because I will tell you right now, I'll look you straight in the eye, biblically,
I had grounds.
Scripture.
I totally had grounds, biblically.
Correct.
Yeah.
So,
but he was the father of my children, and whom I adored, and this is what helped me. I went on. He said, Kathie, what can I do? What can I do? And Larry King was a friend of ours, and he was a straight shooter, Larry. I liked him a lot, had a lot of respect for him.
Okay, there was the ladies' man of all ladies' man.
I know it.
So here's what you did. You made a decision that I would not make. If you asked me today, if I lived through what you lived through, I'd be like, I'm out. I'm gone.
Yeah, but I was damned if I did and damned if I didn't.
Why?
I got brutally. Why didn't she lose the? What?
Right.
And so a lot of people had no. She's standing by her man, and then other people are saying you have to stand by your man. Yeah, he sinned, but that kind of thing. And I said, I'm going to. In the Scripture says, be anxious for nothing, and I looked up what the Greek it meant for nothing. And guess what it means? Nothing. Be anxious for nothing, but in all things, take your requests to God, and the peace of God that passes all understanding will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. And the word Christ, in my new book, I didn't know, Nero was the first one that coined the word Christian. Because all of Jesus's followers, and at the time he was alive, it's an all Jewish story. All Jewish story until the first convert, Cornelius. Right. And he was a Roman centurion. And he came to faith in Yeshua, Jesus. And but when people say, well, his disciples were Christians. I go, no, every single one of them, that was called The Way. There was and I have a movie about it called The Way. 4 oratorios that people, I wrote all this music. Brett was one of them that I wrote with, it's just important that we understand where these words come from. So in the research for the book, we found out that Nero, there's the apostolic period. Jesus had died, been buried, and resurrected and ascended when they started. That's when the apostolic period began, because there was so much. Nero was murdering everybody that was a follower of the way, but the word for in Greek is we have a problem with these little Christians. Yeah. And he said it very derisively. And it was because that's the Greek word for Messiah, Christo.
You actually are quoted as saying that you've come to despise that man, meaning Nero.
Oh, there's a lot to despise, but God loved him. He was made in God's image too. It's just he made different choices than I've made or you've made.
I agree we're made in God's image, and I also believe that the human heart is subject to either good or evil.
Oh, no question.
Okay, so...
Yeah, but every baby is born perfect, I believe. Every baby comes straight from heaven and put in our arms.
But also born in sin.
The capacity for it.
Has the capacity.
Yeah.
Well, but for Jesus, everybody has sinned and fallen short.
Yeah, you got to live a while before you sin. Babies don't sin.
Okay, a baby, of course, can't sin, right?
See what I mean?
But the bottom line is at the end of the day, we will have a propensity to choose good or evil into our heart and our lives.
But the point is, it's our choice. It's our choice. And when you read these 2 books, Herod and Mary.
When do you think it becomes our choice?
The minute you know right from wrong.
And when is that?
I don't know. It's different for every person. I've taught my children that since the day they, All right,
but let me ask you this.
Breathe.
Don't you know in your heart, I can tell you right now that when I'm wrong, I know it immediately.
Well, some people call that a conscience.
Exactly.
And some people seem so immoral that they don't have one.
That's correct.
I can't speak for another person. I knew right from wrong when I was a little girl because my mom taught me and my father taught me. They lived godly lives without calling themselves godly. They were very, very modest people and loved. My mom and my sister both came to know the Lord through Billy Graham Crusade on television.
You wanted to mention a story about Billy Graham earlier.
Yeah. When I was in my early 20s, I sang at something that he was at in Washington at the Hilton. Of course, everything's at the Hilton, and I went backstage to see him and meet him because I had let somebody know how important he had been in my life and my family. My whole family came to faith through Billy, and he's one of the dearest. I was so grateful. He became one of my best friends for the rest of his life. Last time I saw him was at his 95th birthday party, and he died 5 years later. He lived to be 100.
I had one of the last interviews with him.
I thought I heard you say that somewhere. Yeah. He was, anyway, I met him, and he said, Kathie Lee. And he said, I'm just going to tell you something. Now, I'm not a prophet. He said, but I want to tell you, you're going to have a huge future in the entertainment field. And I said, I am? I live 20 miles away in Little Bowie, Maryland. I'm going to have a huge... He goes, oh, no. And if you'd like to have some advice? I said, from Billy Graham? Yes, please. He said, I don't have very many regrets in life. I had to be away from my family an awful lot. But I had the best wife in the whole world, and thank God for her. But he said, the only thing I regret is that the few times I got involved with politics, because you lose half your audience the minute you open your mouth. He said, if I were you, I would avoid politics. completely, and just keep telling everybody what you know in your heart. My ministry is in the entertainment field. I would have been a terrible missionary in Uganda or somewhere. No, that's not what he made me for. All those gifts he gives you in your mother's wombs are for not your glory, they're for God's. And our whole life is supposed to be a prayer. You want to be happy? Make your life a prayer. And then start praying for people that need him desperately, need to know how much God loves them and how he died for them and he's coming back to take them home with them. So when I wanted to go back to Jesus, I just wanted to go back to where I came from. You know, there's nothing more precious than a newborn baby.
And then who's going to be spreading this message that you spread?
He obviously wasn't his will yet that I go, because he sent some great doctors for me. Even as my body, I said it in the article, I feel like Mr. Potato Head. I don't know what's going to fall off next. I'm afraid to turn over in bed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I've had 6 operations in a year and 2 months.
Wow.
And the one I should have had a year and 2 months ago is cataracts. So, but now you can get a refractive lens on your eyes and you'll never develop cataracts.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So get them done before you have to, because you're going to start falling, and then there's a different kind of pain.
You ever watch the movie I Can Only Imagine?
Oh, yeah.
The song that goes along with it?
Yeah, that's a great song.
I love that song.
Mercy Me, I think, is the guys that do it.
Mercy Me.
They just had I Can Only Imagine 2.
Well, I didn't see the second one,
Yeah,
but I've watched the first one probably 7 times.
Yeah.
I just love watching it, and I always love the
That's
song.
the Irwin brothers. They do really, really good movies. Yeah. The faith-based world has come a long, long way.
Hollywood's dead.
Not really.
Hollywood is dead.
You know what's the number one right now?
What?
Young Washington. It beat Wonder Girl or Supergirl by far.
Okay,
yeah.
But I would contend that Hollywood's dead.
Well,
and what I mean by that is the old Hollywood that, controlled the culture. For example, the people that are making series like The Chosen or Angel Studios or just people like who's this guy?
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson, Taylor Sheridan, for example, is doing great work.
Does he do anything faith-based?
He doesn't, but he's doing. But
he's doing great work. But
Tulsa King, he does, I believe. He did Yellowstone.
I know that had a lot of sex. I didn't see it, but I watched the first episode with my son and his then fiance years ago. And I all of a sudden his daughters having sex, and I was so uncomfortable with my son and his wife. What?
It might have been lovemaking. Because you said that
not with Beth. No.
Well, you know the character, so you must have watched it.
I watched it until that happened.
Oh, okay. And does that offend you?
You know what? I don't like gratuitous anything.
Okay.
I don't like gratuitous violence. I can't stand to watch a rape scene or torture. I just can't. I don't want it in my brain. We are what we eat. Then we eat junk food. We're going to become junk food, and we are what we allow in our brains to fester.
Why do you think? I guess maybe I'm just kind of immune to it. And like, for example, if you want to know what shows I want to watch, I'll watch The Passion. I've watched the series The Chosen probably 6 straight times, start to finish.
Because it edifies you. It builds you up in your spirit. And there's so much ignorance, historical ignorance. My guy that wrote Rock, Road, and Rabbi with me is the consultant on The Chosen.
Oh, it's so by the way, I'm like, when are you going to release? Now, the next release is going to be the crucifixion, which they actually did release one little clip of it, and
the resurrection.
They
put the crucifixion.
It's going to be the crucifixion.
I know, and
that has not aired yet.
Well, all I know is, and I wouldn't know that, but I know we're in talks to be doing a film with. I can't say. I wish I could. I'll tell you after.
Yeah.
But it's not announced yet, and it's going to be a very, very exciting time. But what was I going to say about it? Do you know there's a song called "On a Hill Far Away Stood an Old Rugged Cross"? Well, in Nero, you find out that the Romans invented crucifixion, and they were incredibly cruel. And it's not true Jesus was wearing a loincloth. No, you were crucified naked, just so that the shame of it would get. And then they crucified you along the main roads in and out of Jerusalem. So with the message, don't mess with Rome, or you're going to be up on that. And that was at eye level. Eye level.
Who helps America go farther, fly higher, dream even bigger? People do. Now, since 1879, our people have been more than a source of energy. They have been a source of progress. And today, that same progress is helping deliver record U.S. energy production, fueling the workers, the makers, the boundary pushers, the risk takers, the people that spark the breakthroughs that move our great country forward. Learn more about what our people do at chevron.com/USA250. Why do you think, because you've obviously gone so deep into Scripture, why do you think that he kept messaging directly to his disciples, his apostles, that he would lay down his life for his sheep,
right,
and that his sheep know his voice, etc.?
But they also know his rod and his staff as well.
But they would watch miracle after miracle. Mm-hmm. They witnessed it up front. And they still
ran when Jesus was betrayed that night. Every one of them.
Every one of them.
You know who was there at the very end? The women. Yeah. Only John, the disciple, was there during the actual crucifixion.
John was there. Mary was there. Too. I think Mary Magdalene was there.
Mary Magdalene, the women came on Sunday morning early because they never had a chance to the spices and everything was Mosaic law,
right.
And the Torah. And yes, but Mary, I love it. It's one of my favorite scriptures in the whole Bible. Mary Magdalene is in the garden, and she thinks that she thinks the gardener is, it was very, very early, probably dawn, and all of a sudden she says, "Please, sir, tell me, I'm looking for where my Lord is." And it wasn't until Jesus said, "Mary," that she knew it was him. You know why? She knew his voice. And I hear his voice. And I have since I was 13 years old.
You know his voice?
Yes.
Explain that. What is it?
I know it. The thing you were talking about before about a conscience, I know when Jesus is telling me what to do. And and he'll tell me, I'll say, "Lord, how much do you want me to give to that?" And he'll give me the amount. He'll just say it to me. And sometimes I go, "Really, Lord, that much?" And it's way more than a tithe, way more. And I'll find out that there was an unbelievable need for that exact amount of money. You want to be joyful in life? Try to outgive God. Just try. It's fun because you can't. You cannot outgive God. And he loves a generous heart. He loves it. I don't tithe. I know, it's a big deal to a lot of people. I give way more than 10% because there's way too many needs. But I want to have my tender heart still in tuned to exactly what my Savior wants me to do.
It's so funny because these are things that I do that are very similar, is that when I see that people are in need, boom, I'll go in for I don't even think twice about it.
Well, you're also incredibly blessed with so much.
It's ridiculous.
It really is. It really is. I
grew up the son of a prison guard who worked 16-hour shifts and a dad who was a waiter on weekends and a family court probation officer.
Yeah, but that's also what made you and gave you
the... But they grew up poor.
So did my family. Poor. Not poor, but not rich at all.
No.
My daddy had to, he was the son, I told you, of an immigrant and lost everybody. And, my parents, that's going to be the last book I write, Lord willing. Both of them individually would be a Dickens.
If you talk about going home one more time.
No. I'm talking about, I don't want to write any more books.
You've written 25.
25 books.
That's a lot.
Somebody told me it was 36, and I said, that's impossible.
You don't even know how many.
I had to sit down and...
I wrote 4 and I'm done.
I know. It is not easy.
It's hard. It's brutal. It's painful.
It's not as bad as Broadway.
I can sit here and talk all day long and not...
I can talk to a rock and get it and tell the rock that Jesus loves him. They'll go, "I give up, Kathie, okay."
Will you ever go back to television?
People ask me that a lot. Like, I'll never go back to the way I did it before. I would go back if I found the right thing. I like to play ping pong. I like,
really?
Yeah. At first they wanted me to come back to the Today Show and do it with Ann Curry and with Natalie Morales and with Hoda. And I said to Jim Bell, I said, no, I'll do it with Hoda, but I don't. Yeah, and you know who also wanted me to do his show was Gutfeld. Asked me, and I said, I like the Cat and Tyrus, but I don't. That's not my forte. I can be on a.
Well, these comedians are in a class of their own. They're just wickedly funny. Why not? I could think of something that I think would work for you.
What?
I think just doing your faith. Have people call in and talk directly to people, because, with all the people, for example, you had your critics. I'm shocked that you prayed for Howard Stern for 30 years. Does he know that? Did you tell Beth?
Oh, yeah, Beth knows.
Okay.
Beth knows.
So you prayed for him. Unfortunately, your prayers there was a misdiagnosis because he became a woke liberal that I don't even recognize. All my friends that listened to him growing up, like, what happened to this guy?
Oh, they missed the lesbians on his lap?
Well, okay, yeah, we all
That's what I heard. I never watched it. I never met the man.
I was a kid from New York, all right? So that was part of the past that I need to forget.
So what is your question?
Well, my question is, I think that there's an opening for you to do, this is clearly your love and your passion.
Yeah.
You're now writing, best-selling
These
books.
These are thrillers.
Okay, about your passion.
But I'm doing it now. You reach millions of people. Okay,
but you could do this every single day, and I guarantee you that every Kathie Lee person would want to hear about your health, your updates, your new fitness routine, and guess what? Jesus.
Oh, I know.
And what you're learning and sharing what you're learning. Why not just do that?
I did a podcast when only Adam Carolla had one.
Yeah.
And it was way back. And I have a recording studio in my house in Connecticut. So I got talked into doing a podcast. And Frank used to say, "Are you going potting?" Nobody knew what it was, or anything like that. And I would go down to my little. I had a full blown. I've done whole albums, orchestral albums in that recording studio. But I would sit there with my headphones on and with a guy that's been hired to engineer it, and people were so incredibly rude. If I had been late ever for my job, wherever I worked, I would have lost my job. If I was ever late for a Broadway show, they'd put my understudy in and show me the door. And back then. I got tired of waiting for people. No one showed up on time. Hardly anybody was sitting there waiting for me. Nobody will wait for me unless, I've gone dancing with you-know-who. Then I might be late.
Right. That's true. All right.
Or you know what? People do it. Has anybody ever tried to do your podcast while they're in a car trying to go somewhere and you lose the signal? Then you're hanging out. You're trying to wait. I go, no, I don't. This is not... I'm a live person. While I'm, that's my best genre, is when I'm alive and well and thinking clearly and not in pain.
How is it only we're seeing 5% of you in your time with Regis and Hoda? And, we've been here a couple hours already. And, I feel like I know you. Do I only know 5% after all this?
Well, it's funny because we've made... Another thing Cody talked me into. He said, "Mom, there's this producer. He's won Emmys for his documentaries. I want you to at least meet with him. I really, really respect this guy, Mom, and he's a big fan of yours, and he thinks he can, really tell your story." And I said, "Cody, I don't want to do that. I've had all the fame and fortune to choke a person. I don't want to be reminded again of all the bad stuff." And he said, "But Mom, do it for me and Cassidy and your grandchildren, and then their grandchildren. And this is your chance to set the record straight. Finally, maybe your last chance to set the record straight. And there are things that people will still believe, still believe that I had sweatshops. I didn't have any sweatshops. I didn't hire one worker, and I didn't, have a factory. How can I have sweatshops?"
That was such a complete bullshit.
It was total Yes, it was complete bullshit. It really was. The guy who accused me stood up in Congress and accused me of that. 1 month afterwards, apologized to me.
People don't know. I'm going to tell you something. I know what people don't know.
What?
They don't know that after all that happened, you then became an advocate against all of it and spent a lot of time and money to prevent. Now,
because I found out that they did exist. It's just I didn't have them.
Okay, but that's not a story worth printing because
you're not going to make any money off Kathie Lee's just opened two homes for Cody and for AIDS and crack babies in New York, which, by the way, is where my Walmart money went. And one of them, the later one that we had, Cassidy's place, was $14 million. We had to make that money. A lot of our friends were generous and gave to the cause, but that's a lot of money. And back then, that was in the early 90s when it was an epidemic. And they're still take care of 200 little kids a day, both places. But and we got, you know what? In the documentary that I'm talking about, they asked me what was, of everything you've ever done in your entire life, what are you the most pleased that you were able to do? And I told this story about, because I was working with this lady who was the first one in America, I think, to hold AIDS babies. There was such a stigma. Remember, Princess Diana was the first one, and I was so moved by that. Well, I had been working with this organization called the Association to Benefit Children, and we were raising the money for these babies that were dying, just dying. There was no hope for them, except we found out a cocktail of 3 different drugs. If the mother got it in utero while she's pregnant, and found out about it at a clinic. In essence, we sued the state of New York 3 times and won all 3 times. One was about asthma, one was about boarding babies. You know, they were, a child that is never rocked and loved learns to soothe itself by rocking. Wow. They rock themselves. And I said, that's just wrong in America. It's wrong everywhere. So we sued, won that one. And then Cody had asthma, so we sued because the air was so bad, won that one. But Frank and I sued to have the unblinding of HIV testing made possible, unblind it so the mother can decide if she wants that drug. Before a baby is born, I forget the exact, but I knew so much about it at the time because literally this was in the 90s, early 90s. I could tell you every stat, but it's ridiculous how miraculous this thing was. So I went to the East Hampton for a dinner. My dear friend Claudia Cohen sat me next to Governor Pataki. And I said, poor man, I'm suing him and he's got to sit with me at dinner for 2 hours. I told him everything that I knew. And I was very, very knowledgeable about it at the time. And he said something that I've never heard of a politician say to me, or they rarely say it. Number 1, he said, I didn't know this. Number 2, we're on the wrong side of this issue. And then he said, and I'm gonna do something about this. And I remember we drove back to our house out there, and I said, honey, I think I got through to him. We were at different tables. And he said, I don't know, but I think he really listened. He asked the right questions, and I knew the answers. And within 1 month, at Cody's house, at the little place called Cody House, we're standing in the garden there. There was a memoriam for all the little babies that had died, being rocked by volunteers there, and died. There was no hope for them. I can hardly tell this story even to this day, because this is the thing. Literally, he unblinded, mandated it. Didn't go to Congress, didn't go anywhere. He just, in the state of New York, it mandated it. First time within a year, it was the first time the AIDS death rate went down because the AIDS birth rate went down. And then it was mandated in every state in America.
Pataki's a good guy. I'm not surprised.
He's a wonderful man. And I spoke with him just the other day. And I haven't stayed in touch with him, but I love his daughter. She writes great historical fiction. She's fantastic. Alison Pataki. She's fantastic. And anyway, so that's something that changed the world.
Let me ask
The AIDS
you,
death rate went down because I sat for 2 hours next to a good man.
Well, that's amazing.
I give him all the credit for it, not me.
Well, you deserve some.
No, just for being bold again,
Donald Trump used to go on your show.
Yes.
Often.
He and Marla got engaged at Frank's and My Farm back in Greenwich.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then he becomes president.
Yeah.
But he loved both you and Regis.
Yeah.
He really did.
Oh, yeah.
He's told me a lot of stories.
I know it. I know.
Nothing bad. I mean...
Oh, there's nothing bad to tell.
No,
we were charter members of Mar-a-Lago way when they opened up the club part of it. I hope I still am. I can't afford it now.
Well, if you had a membership, you still do.
Do I?
I think I can make that call for you. I think it'll be okay. If you were a member, maybe you just have to catch up on student dues. But, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
You've done all these amazing things. Obviously, people know you from the TV success, but you've done Broadway. You're an author. You sing. I mean, is there anything that you haven't done that you want to do?
I always laugh about it when somebody asks that. I said, well, porn, but there's no offers. There are probably a few kinky people that would like that, but there aren't enough of them.
I don't know. There's a really weird world out there now.
I know.
That is hilarious.
Somebody's looking at my feet right now.
There are so I've
had operations on both my feet, too.
There are creepy people. They creep me out. I'm like, what is wrong with these people?
I just make sure I have a fresh manicure and pedicure every time I go out my door.
Okay. Why?
I don't, because you never know if I'm going to get hit by a bus.
All right. I thought we rephrased all of that.
Oh, when I go dancing, I'm going to look good.
Will you dance with me, Jesus? It's very obvious to me. First of all, I'm so honored you came.
Oh, you sure?
Number one.
Thank you.
Number two, it is so self-evident to me and obvious to me that whatever you may think, about going home, God is not done with Kathie Lee Gifford.
No. You'll see that when you see the documentary.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
It's so well done. Somebody said to me,
I hope he's not done with me either, but he's not done with you for sure.
You and I are sitting here, and we're spreading the good news that God not only loves us, but he doesn't love us any more than he loves you, no matter what your stage in life. Yeah, it's in talks right now. So we have two people looking at it very, very closely, and everybody's excited about it because the very thing that we're talking about. Somebody said to me a couple of years ago, Kathie, have you ever looked? Is it IBDM, IB, or IMDb, whatever it is? It's that list of all your credits, everything you've ever done in your life, right?
It's crazy.
Oh, by the way,
I have it.
You do?
Oh, yeah, it's nuts. When
I looked at it, I said, I'm just going to randomly, there's 5 pages nonstop of it. And I go, somebody Wikipedia'd this stuff. Because so I go, boom. And it goes, diagnosis murder. And I go, I never did diagnose. Oh, with Dick Van Dyke and Regis and I played talk show hosts and Regis murdered me. He shot me on the air. I said, who forgets that?
You've made it in this world when you become an answer on a Jeopardy question.
Oh, yeah.
I got to ask you this. I followed very closely, and actually I'm pretty angry at a couple of people over the issue of Savannah Guthrie's mom. Number one, I'm angry at people that were speculating that it might be family members. That pissed me off. Number two, I'm not happy with the local sheriff and not working with the FBI. I know for a fact that didn't happen.
The minute I saw him, and I don't know the man, I just thought, oh my gosh, he's like Barney Fife.
Yeah. I did talk to her briefly one time. You're friends with her. How's she doing?
You know what? I was asked, of course, as long as with Hoda. I never worked with Savannah because she was on the first 2 hours and I was on the last. And but of course I knew her. Savannah's the other one that I took out a lot of times when she first came.
You were a mentor to many people.
I hope so. I wanted to be. I still do. I still want to be. And a lot of girls now tell me I got into this business because of you, Kathie. And I'm always honored, Sure. I really am. I don't take anything that's a blessing for granted. I just don't. I have the career that I obviously still have because the people believed me, I'll never forget after the sweatshop incident, Regis and I always came out and said hello to the audience, but before we even talked to each other, then we'd sit down and boom, 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 right?
Right.
And this lady said, Kathie, she yelled, said, I just want you to know that when that man stood up and said that about you, I went straight to Walmart and bought 5 of your things, your dresses. And I sent you, and she stood up and I said, and you look terrific in it. Thank you so much. But that was the reaction, because Larry King then said to me, Kathie, I guess it was making, $100 million a year. Wow. I got pennies on that. Sure. Walmart doesn't give their money away very easily. And
but by the way, a brand name deal usually means you don't have a clue.
It wasn't 800. Yeah, was it 80 million? Or that's another thing I forget now.
Whatever.
Because I wouldn't get it. It wasn't in my bank account. Yeah. But I mean, you were going to say something. Sorry, I'm just trying to think. That doesn't sound right. Just like 36 books wasn't true either.
No, it's 25. With 25. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we got to. So all of this goes through. I just think that at the end of the day, just to kind of
wrap it up,
in just a sense, I mean, you're living and have in the present and have lived, even though you've had these challenges and difficulties and even want to go home to Jesus. I mean, nobody has had the career you've had. I mean, and walked away from success as you have, and tried as many different things as you have.
I know those were the days when I was fearless. I'm terrified of getting up in these heels right now.
But that's going to change. You're going to get your health back, and you're stronger. You know, you're getting stronger already.
Yeah. Oh, here's I can go to. I can go to the Vatican now and walk, and go to Israel and walk on the cobblestones. And do you know, if you walk on cobblestones daily, you can add 10 years to your life, because it makes your mind navigate.
You have to navigate. Steps? Do you try to get in like?
I live in a 4-story brownstone, so I get.
So you walk up?
Oh, I never got in my elevator once, except for when I broke my pelvis.
That's not exactly the steps I'm talking about. They usually say if you can get in 10,000 steps a day.
I easily do that.
You know easily what? Do you monitor it? Like this thing, I've never worn I don't wear any jewelry. Mm-hmm. I don't like jewelry. Like I buy people watches. I don't want one. But this is a Whoop. And it monitors all the different health aspects of life.
I think I've just been so good about my health all my life, and exercising's always been a big part of me. Even when I was a singer, I was a dancer too. Yeah. You know, and you learn great discipline. I'd never call myself a dancer. I have too much respect for dancers. But I was an actress who could sing, and an actress that could move well, let's leave it that way. And more than that, I had the best attitude all the time. I was never the prettiest girl, by far. Never. I'd look around a casting room when it was a cattle call kind of thing, and I go, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get this. I'm never going to get this. I wasn't the most talented. I wasn't the most beautiful. I wasn't anything. But there was something about me that producers liked, and it's because I was not a drama queen. There are not that many women that choose show. Show business was not my choice. I just wanted to make people happy. My first job singing was at 10 years old, and it was my daddy paid me and my sister $10 each to sing at his mother's birthday party. And he said, I said, when are you a person professional, Daddy? And he goes, when you start getting paid for it. Here's $10.
That's a pretty good.
And then I'd say, Daddy, I'm terrible at math. I'll never be. He says, no, you're not terrible at anything, Kathie. You just don't like it. So once you find that job you want so badly, find something you love to do and make sure you get paid for it. So he said, make enough so that you can buy somebody who loves math. And they're really good at it. And I've been able to keep a lot of people employed through the years because they went into something they enjoyed and loved too. You know what? If you can't be a blessing, don't be a burden to people. People have too many burdens as it is. And it makes me happy to be a blessing. It sounds cliche, but it does. I don't want to hurt anybody. I've hurt people in the past. It was never on purpose. Huh?
You ever read The Road Less Traveled?
I don't remember. I'm so busy writing them.
You know what? It starts out with the words, life is hard. And it's a paradox. Once you accept it's hard, life is hard.
Well,
there's nobody that goes through this life. I don't care about your status, your race, your background, your
it's
wealth.
Not for the faint of heart.
It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. You're gonna face challenges and difficulties,
trials and tribulations. Jesus.
Exactly.
In this world, you will have them, but be of great courage. You always say that. Be of great courage. I have overcome the world. Overcome the world, and that means be anxious for nothing. Look it up in the Greek. It means nothing.
Nothing.
And that takes a different kind of discipline. Our Western civilization, the Christianity part of it, is way too. So much emphasis is on being saved. And it's wonderful to find salvation. But that's that takes a second. You receive it, and grace is not cheap, because look at the price Jesus had to pay for it. But it's instant. It's instant. The scriptures say, but the hard part is the sanctification process. And that's the trials and the tribulations, and that's what you've got to cooperate with. God wants He wants communion with us. He wants relationship, the thing we also talked a great deal about. I don't want religion. It's not gonna, I'm so grateful that I can tell the difference. Too many people in our world, not the show business one, but the world of religion, are Pharisees or Sadducees. When Jesus cursed the tree because there was no fruit on it, that's why I was kicked out of Sunday school. I said, "Teacher, I don't believe that." She said, "I just read it from the Bible." I said, "But I don't think that's what it means." Years later, it wasn't what it means. He didn't curse it. As a little girl, I said, Jesus would never curse it. Jesus loves us. He loves everything He's created. My Jesus wouldn't say that. And I was asked to not come back to Sunday school because I just knew something was wrong. What it really means when you study when you study rabbinically, you study everything about it, cultural, the political. It meant the Pharisees, with the religious elite. That's what the sycamore fig tree represented, was the Pharisees and Sadducees, who were using their righteousness robes and putting way too many burdens on the people. It was enough to live under the Torah for them, good Jewish people. They kept the Torah, and a lot of other stuff too. And then they added to it, you got to tithe your spice garden, and then live under Roman rule too. And it just was too. That's why people loved Jesus.
What do you think of the rise of anti-Semitism?
Oh, it's.
I mean, it's on college campuses.
Oh, it has been for Congress. Years, unfortunately.
It is worldwide now, and
it's always been
on the airwaves now. I mean,
God hates hate. It's the only thing He hates is hatred, and it comes. There's hate in every religion. A lot of people hate Muslims because of, 9/11. We're not supposed to hate anyone. Jesus said they will know you are my followers because you love one another. Okay. They'll know you're Christians. And
it's not the religion. It's radical Islamists that believe in convert or die.
I know.
That want to kill you, that are terrorists. There's a distinction.
I told you that you could see from my house at home in Greenwich, Connecticut, you can see the skyline of New York. I just left the show with Regis the year before, and I was home, and I went down to my gym, and all of a sudden there's this plane that comes over, and it rattled my gym. It went right over on its way, and I didn't have the TV on that morning, and I don't know why. I came home, a friend had called and said, "Turn on CNN." That's all there was then, CNN. And I turned it on, and I went out to my deck, and I saw both of them fall down. And my assistant at the time was 7.5.
We were on Fox. You just weren't watching me then.
I don't know. I wasn't watching. No. And what was I going to tell you?
I'll forgive you. You're talking about what happened.
Yeah. And I'm going, oh my God, my assistant at the time was 7.5 months pregnant with her first child.
Wow.
And her husband had saved some people in the first time that it was.
The first World Trade Center bombing.
3 years earlier? I don't even remember, but it was. He saved people.
Right.
He died this time in the North Tower.
Wow.
And so I said, who are these people that hate us? I had to get, what do they believe? So I'm one of the few, I got a Quran and read it. And you're right. It's kill the infidels. If give them one chance to.
It says, take neither Christians or Jews as your friends if you read it.
Oh, I read it. Believe me, it was a lot of years ago.
I've read it too.
Yeah. So I think we need to know why hatred exists. Somebody was saying the other day.
Well, people pervert religion.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I don't like the perversions. I don't like any kind of perversion. It's not my thing. You know.
I think the idea is that God in whatever manifestation you think about it, it's a heart thing. And you either have a heart for God, a belief in a living God. Mm-hmm. You look at science takes us further and further, universes within universes within universes.
That's okay. The word for in Genesis is cosmos, which means it's endless. Endless. Why wouldn't he be everywhere? Of course. Yeah, no. So those kinds of things. I like the mystery of the Lord.
I do too.
I really do.
I like it a lot.
What am I going to do when I go dancing? I got to learn something again. I want to learn something on the day I do go dancing because I'm a student.
You're going to dance again.
Well, I can move.
No, I'm
there will be no jitter. My son kept trying to get me to do Dancing with the Stars. I said, "Are you out of your mind?"
Okay, I wouldn't do that either. That's a bad idea.
No. When I see a group of really, really handsome men, like that the place we go, honey, this gorgeous group of guys.
Do you want her to go on Dancing with the Stars?
No, she knows I can't do it.
Hell no. I wouldn't. I'd never do it.
No, my mother used to say, "Oh, honey, we had our turn. You don't get in your bikini anymore." But I said to these darling guys, I said, "Hey guys, you want a good time with a one-hit wonder?" And they just, then they bought me a drink. It was nice.
Well, I think we both can agree on one thing. We both have had undeserved lives, and this time with you is kind of undeserved for me, and you're just a national treasure.
Thank you.
Let me remind you.
You're getting married to one. You should know.
Oh, I know. Believe me, I'm just trying to make sure she doesn't change her mind.
And I don't want anybody, sweetie, to get nervous about how dense the books are.
No.
With historical it took me 4 days to do both of them with the audio.
Yeah.
So I do all the heavy lifting if you're afraid of those kinds of books. But it's a thriller, and I get all my acting chops out on it.
Oh, you like it?
I get to play every role.
God's not done with Kathie Lee Gifford.
Or Sean Hannity.
Thank you for hanging out with us.
Thank you guys so much for watching today's episode, hanging out with me, Sean Hannity. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel so you never, ever, ever, ever miss an episode. We've got a lot more really great content coming your way. We hope you'll subscribe.